Last week, I went to the hospital and I had to walk around with a catheter.
Really? How was it?
It was okay.
What's a catheter?
A catheter is a medical instrument invented by the Ottoman Empire.
What's the Ottoman Empire?
The Ottoman Empire, also known as the Turkic Warrior Empire, was founded and rose to power in 1299 and finally collapsed in 1908.
Who founded the Ottoman Empire?
The Ottoman Empire was founded by a guy named Osman, who was able to create the empire due to his military standing.
Who was Osman at the beginning?
Osman was originally in the military, but as he began to move up the ranks, he gained more power, allowing him and his followers to create the empire.
How big was the empire when it was at its peak?
At its peak, it stretched from the Balkans in Southeast Asia to Anatolia, Central Asia, Arabia, and North Africa.
The Seljuk Empire was divided into many different tribes that allowed their own ruling and principalities. Through this, in 1299, Osman established an official government and is credited for founding the Ottoman Turks. In 1326, Orhan, the son of Osman, began to expand towards the Byzantine territories and to Bursa, along with 3 other towns in the northwest of Anatolia. In 1361, Orhan's son, Murad I, extends the Ottoman conquest northward to Thrace, culminating with the capture of Adrianople.
Okay, that's good.
In 1453, Mehmed II had successfully captured the Constantinople and turned it into the capital. In 1481 to 1512, Bayezid II reigns during this period. Bayezid extends the Ottoman Empire into Europe, adds outposts along the Black Sea, and puts down revolts in Anatolia. During the reign of Selim I that began in 1512, the Ottomans moved south and eastward into Syria, Arabia, and Egypt. Before the end of his reign in 1520, Selim doubles the size of the empire, adding all the lands with the exception of Iran and Mesopotamia that made up the Islamic state known as the Caliphate. Suleiman I, or Suleiman the Magnificent, becomes Ottoman Sultan in 1520. He captures Belgrade in 1521 and Rhodes, now a part of Greece. In 1529, he lays siege in Vienna, but is forced to withdraw for lack of supplies. He broke the military power of Hungary. Because of Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire was in its golden age. The Ottomans failed their last attempt to capture the city of Vienna in 1683. This and many losses after lead to them giving up their Hungarian territories in 1699. Through the 18th century, they begin to lose great portions of their territory. Between 1839 and 1876, 2 rulers make a number of reforms with the focus of education and law, but the lack of money and skilled men makes this tough to complete. Finally, after fighting on the side of Germany in World War I and suffering defeat, the empire was dismantled by treaty and came to an end in 1922.
Alright, got one.
The last Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed VI, was disposed and left in the capital of Constantinople, now Istanbul, in a British warship. While the Industrial Revolution swept through Europe in 1700s and 1800s, the Ottoman economy remained dependent upon farming. The empire lacked factories and mills to keep up with Great Britain, France, and even Russia. The Ottoman Empire lagged far behind its European competitors in literacy, so by 1914, it's estimated that only between 5 and 10% of its inhabitants could read. These factors contributed to the fall of the Great Ottoman Empire.
So what was the social structure like at the Ottoman Empire?
The social structure of the Ottoman Empire separated the Muslims from the non-Muslims, which were Christian and Jewish. The Muslims were automatically at a higher status than the others. There were four major social classes: men of the pen, men of the sword, men of negotiation, and men of husbandry.
What did men of husbandry do?
The men of husbandry were at the bottom of the pyramid as in terms of skills. Men of husbandry lacked skills or had very little experience in working. The class mostly consisted of farmers and herders.
What did men of negotiation do?
The men of negotiation were people who were merchants, artisans, and other people who sell things through negotiation.
What did men of sword do?
The men of the sword had people who were good with warfare equipment and had military experience or were a part of the military.
What did the men of the pen do?
Men of the pen is a type of social class which was highly consistent of highly educated people like scientists, lawyers, judges, and doctors. What was the political landscape of the Ottoman Empire like?
The Ottoman Empire had Turkic warriors called Ghazis. The empire had laws on specific kinds of clothes that different communities could wear. Usually bureaucrats, religious scholars, and military officials had the greatest social power. Warrior aristocrats would benefit from taxes and were given land.
Who did the Ottoman Empire interact with?
The foreign relations of the Ottoman Empire were characterized by competition with the Persian Empire to the east, Russia to the north, and Austria to the west. The control over European minorities began to collapse after 1800, with Greece being the first to break free, followed by Serbia. Egypt was lost in 1798 to 1805.
What happened towards the last part of the empire?
In the early 20th century, Austria-Hungary annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Bulgarian Declaration of Independence soon followed. The Ottomans lost nearly all their European territory in the First Balkan War, to 1912 to 1913. The Ottoman Empire allied itself with Germany in the First World War and lost.
What happened after World War I?
After the First World War, the British successfully mobilized Arab nationalism. The Ottoman Empire thereby lost its Arab possessions and itself soon collapsed in the early 1920s. For the period after 1923, see Foreign Relations of Turkey. Its onset in the late 16th century was particularly noticeable in Anatolia, a largely rural region that once formed the heartland of the Ottoman Empire and is roughly conterminous with modern-day Turkey. Damn it.
How did they use the environment to their advantage?
Much of the land was traditionally used for cultivating grain or herding sheep and goats. It provided a critical food source for the rural populations as well as residents of the bustling Ottoman capital, Istanbul or Constantinople.
Okay. What's the culture like in the Ottoman Empire?
As the Ottoman Empire expanded, it assimilated the culture of numerous regions under its rule and beyond, being particularly influenced by Turkic, Greco-Roman, Arabic, and Persian culture.
What was the cultural architecture like in the Ottoman Empire?
Ottoman architecture was a synthesis of Seljuk architectural traditions, as seen in the building of Konya and Mamluk architecture. It was also influenced by the Byzantine architecture. It reached its greatest development in the large public buildings such as mosques and caravanserais of the 16th century.
What was cultural clothing like in the Ottoman Empire?
Clothing of the Ottoman Empire was not something out of taste. It stated religion, ethnicity, and class in the pre-19th century Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
Alright. What was the economical status of the Ottoman Empire?
Agrarian econ was labor scarce, land rich, and capital poor. The majority of the population earned their living from small family holdings. This contributed to around 40% of taxes for the empire, directly as well as indirectly through the outcomes and revenues on exports.
Who did the Ottoman Empire trade with?
The Ottomans had developed a trade treaty with Venice, a European trading powerhouse. They also had developed gunpowder and firearms from trade and used it to their advantage.
What technological innovations did the Ottoman Empire come up with?
During the 600-year reign of the Ottoman Empire, they had made very big advancements within the medical, astronomy, and mathematical worlds. In the medical world, they invented things used today, such as forceps, scalpels, and catheters. The capture of the Constantinople caused the spread of these from scholars who fled from Italy, which helped them within the spread. Astronomy was a very important discipline in the Ottoman Empire. Ali Khashoggi, one of the most important astronomers in state, managed to make the first map of the moon and wrote the first book describing the shapes of the moon. At the same time, a new system was developed for Mercury. Mustafa ibn Muwaqqiq and Muhammad al-Quinawi developed the first astronomical calculations measuring minutes and seconds. Medicine in the Ottoman Empire was practiced in nearly all places of society, as physicians treated patients in homes, markets, and hospitals.